By the time I left the last campground behind, the woods felt heavier, as if something massive was moving parallel to me, always out of sight, but never out of reach. The deeper I walked, the more the trees twisted into strange shapes, almost like they were bending away from something they feared. I kept hearing slow, dragging footsteps behind me. But whenever I turned, there was only fog and darkness. Yet the forest was different now, silent in a way that didn't feel natural. Even the wind refused to move. It felt like I had crossed into Bigfoot's territory, and it already knew I was here. As night fell, I found an old ranger outpost, half rotten, windows shattered, door ripped clean off its hinges. Law enforcement had abandoned this place years ago. After too many unexplainable sightings, I entered anyway, hoping for shelter. But the moment I stepped in, a foul stench hit me. Wet fur, decaying meat, and something else. Something predatory. On the floor were massive footprints, larger than any I'd seen in photos. Some were fresh, still pressed deep into the dusty wood. Whatever made them had been here only minutes ago. My flashlight flickered, and I realized I wasn't alone inside this building. A massive thud shook the wall behind me, followed by a low, vibrating growl that resonated in my bones. I froze. Something enormous was circling the outpost, dragging its hands across the wooden exterior like it was testing the structure, or testing my fear. The boards creaked under its weight as it leaned against them. My breath turned shaky, shallow. I crouched near a broken cabinet, trying to stay still. But the creature's shadow moved past the shattered window. Broad shoulders, long arms, and eyes glowing like dying embers. It was hunting me, studying me, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Just when I thought it would break in, a distant howl echoed through the forest. Another creature calling out. The monster outside paused. Its breathing grew faster, almost angry, like it didn't want competition. Then it vanished into the tree line with shocking speed, shaking branches as it moved. That's when I realized the truth. There wasn't just one Bigfoot out here. There were multiple, each claiming territory, each more vicious than the last. I waited in silence for nearly an hour, terrified to move, until the forest returned to its impossible stillness. I knew staying inside wasn't an option anymore. I slipped out the back window and crept along a rocky slope, hoping to reach higher ground where I could see more of the forest. But halfway up, I saw something that froze my blood. On the cliff above, hanging from a broken tree branch, was a shredded backpack and parts of clothing that definitely weren't mine. The fabric was torn with long claw marks, soaked in dried blood. Someone else had tried to escape this mountain and failed. As I inspected the ground, I saw huge footprints circling the area, overlapping each other. The creatures had dragged whoever it was deeper into the woods. The path narrowed until the trees pressed together, forming a dark corridor that felt alive. Every few steps, I heard cracking branches behind me, but when I turned, there was only darkness. The feeling of being watched grew overwhelming, like hot breath on the back of my neck. Then the smell returned. Wet fur, rotten leaves, and something freshly killed. I picked up my pace, but the footsteps behind me matched perfectly. When I finally snapped my head around, I glimpsed it, an enormous silhouette, too tall to be human, crouched between trees, its eyes burning dimly like coals buried in ash. I broke into a run, crashing through low branches, desperate for any escape route. The creature roared, an earth-shaking, animalistic bellow that made my ears ring. It wasn't just chasing me, it was enraged. I spotted a narrow cave entrance hidden behind thick roots and dove inside. The tunnel was tight and cold, but the creature couldn't squeeze through. It slammed the ground outside, furious, claws scraping stone as it tried to reach me. The entire cave shook with its anger. In the faint light, I saw old bones littering the floor. Human bones. This wasn't a hiding place. It was a grave. The creature eventually left, but I didn't dare exit right away. Hours passed in darkness until my flashlight died completely. I crawled deeper into the cave, hoping for another exit. Instead, I discovered claw marks etched across the stone walls, layers of them going back decades. Some were smaller, some massive, meaning different creatures had used this place for generations. Strange symbols were carved too, almost tribal, as if another species had a system, a culture, a warning. My heart hammered as I realized Bigfoot wasn't just an animal. It was something older, smarter, and far more organized than anyone believed. ... I finally found a second exit, leading to a hidden ravine filled with fog so thick it swallowed the moonlight. As I stepped out, something shifted in the mist. Tall, broad, moving with unnatural silence. Then another shape. And another. I froze in terror as I realized I had walked straight into the center of their territory. At least 3 massive silhouettes surrounded me, but they didn't attack. They simply watched, their breaths steaming through the cold air. It felt as if they were deciding my fate, judging whether I was a threat, prey, or something else entirely. A deep, rumbling call echoed through the ravine, and all 3 creatures turned their heads toward the sound. Their bodies tensed. Something bigger, something far more dangerous was approaching. The ground trembled with its weight. The creatures backed away slowly, almost respectfully, as if yielding to a higher predator. Then I saw it, a colossal shadow forming in the fog, taller than the trees, its eyes brighter and more intelligent than the others. This wasn't just a Bigfoot. This was their alpha. And as it stepped closer, I realized part 1 and part 2 were nothing compared to what awaited next.